Howdy, everybody. Bob Tallman for No Spin Rodeo. No politics, no BS, just hard-hitting news and rodeo commentary from two of the most trusted sources in our sport. Kendra Santos, Tommy Joe Lucia. Listen up. Here we go.
Well, hello, everybody. Hello, No Spinners. Welcome to episode 97. It's Tuesday, sometime in the 1st of February. We've had a hiatus and we're back, and it's pretty cool because when we come back riding a white horse stallion. We don't screw around. I'm Tommy Joe Lucia, and the most important part of the show, the First Lady of ProRodeo Journalism, Kendra Santos. And this is No Spin Rodeo, and we have with us the CEO of the PRCA and the president of the PRCA Properties, Tom Glause. A very hot topic. He's a hot item. He's a hot item, and we wanted to talk to him. Kendra, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks. How are you guys?
Hello,
Fantastic.
Tommy Joe. Hi, Kendra. Thank you for inviting me on your show today.
Thanks for being on. You got your old cowboy hat on. Are you in the passenger seat or the driver's seat? You're not driving, are you?
I'm stationary.
Safety
I'm
first.
I'm in the passenger seat.
Safety first, cowboy. All right, well, let's not screw around. All of our no spinners, they just like to hear. They want to talk real. So let's talk some real here. Tom, hopefully at the end of this interview, you don't never talk to me again, but I don't think that'll be the case. So, Kendra, I'm going to let you kick off 97 with Mr. Glause, and then we'll go from there. So, rock and roll there, sister.
All right. Well, basically, I feel like it's my job as a journalist to ask the questions. And so I really appreciate the access and the transparency up front. The first thing I think that would be worth taking a few minutes to do up front is to have you, Tom, kind of bring us up to speed on the general state of the PRCA and the sport of professional rodeo, where the association stands as of today, which is February 3rd, 2026.
Absolutely. Let's start by recapping 2025. 2025 was an amazing year by all accounts. Whichever metrics we measure it by, it was a record-setting year. We paid out nearly $78 million in prize money throughout the year. We've targeted $80 million for 2026. I think it's important that we take a look back when we talk about $78 million payout. 2019, when I joined the PRCA, we were paying out $50 million after the NFR. 2020 was an anomaly with COVID and reduced number of rodeos, but we really went on a growth spurt in 21. We've seen our revenue, or our payout, increase by 50% since 2019. Also, membership is up. 2019 was kind of a turnaround year for us. Finally started to right the ship with membership. We'd seen some slight growth over 2018. Obviously, in 2020, membership was down. Excuse the coughing. I've been fighting a cold here for a week, so my apologies. But we've seen steady, consistent growth since 2020. Membership was 6,600, over 6,600 in 25. Just checked the numbers today. We're about 150 members ahead of year to date where we were February of 25. So we're happy that we're seeing increased growth. We've seen tremendous growth with our permits. Last year we had nearly 2,000 permit holders as part of the PRCA family. That's certainly the future of our sport, and we continue to see growth with our permit holders. Revenue continues to increase. In 2025, We ended the year with about 54 million in revenue. 2019, our revenue was 27 million. So we've nearly doubled our revenue since 2019. With that, we've also had increased expenses. It's not that we're looking to just pad our bank accounts. We're looking to source money and put money back out to the members and to the committees. Uh, Overall, we're in the best financial shape that the PRCA has ever been in, and we're looking forward to bigger and brighter things in 2026.
Can I ask one follow-up question on that? As far as when you talk about gross revenue, does that presumably, and what am I missing on the big ticket items? Would that include obviously dues? Does that include sponsor revenue? Does that include program fees? What are the big ticket items included in revenues?
That it's every bucket, Kendra. So, great question. Sponsorship and media make up about 40% of our revenue. Those two items. Next, led by rodeo revenue, and that comes in the form of 6% money membership. So we see those between those four items, we're about 2/3 of our total revenue.
Okay. And the 6% is that comes off the top of every rodeo, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Great.
So you think the PRCA is doing pretty damn good? That's what it sounds like. And your projections for 26, you don't see any rocky roads. You don't see anything. This is my follow up, my journalistic follow up.
We think 26 is going to be slower growth. We've projected slower growth. We've really been on a fairly steep trajectory in terms of growth, revenue, sponsorship, media growth. We think that trajectory is going to slow, but we think it will still continue. We project 3 to 5% growth. Overall revenue, we're budgeting to be fairly flat for 26.
That makes sense. It sounds like we're in pretty good shape. All right, I'm going to go up to the next one. So there's all kinds of scuttlebutt, and I'm going to give a little monologue first, and then I'll have you step in about the PRCA Hall of Fame and the headquarters moving from Colorado Springs to Wyoming. Let me preface this for all you people out there that from a business perspective, based on what I'm going to read, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, Tom, in a lot of ways, this is a no-brainer. So here's what I found out. So it sounds like that the board has approved a move, that there's some final paperwork coming. I understand that there's definitely some tax advantages to Wyoming that are not present in the leaning left state of Colorado. I think that the the rules and regulations as it relates to employees in corporate America in the state of Wyoming are probably lean towards, because it's further right, lean more towards the corporations. But let's get down to the numbers of what I found, and then you can clarify them if they're wrong, because these are some of them that are out there. Not even out there. This is what my research. It sounds to me like the state of Wyoming is basically handing you guys about $50 million worth of property and a building and saying, bring your assets to Wyoming. Is that fair? They're going to give you the keys to a new building and ground right on the interstate. Just bring it up here. Is that fair?
You were pretty good in your research, Tommy Joe. But let's back up a little bit. As we delve into this subject, we've been approached by others to move, and we always start the inquiry by saying we're not looking to relocate. We own our building. We own our land. We're not carrying any debt. And we're not looking to acquire any debt. So if you can make an offer around those guardrails, we're willing to listen. Most suitors quickly fold. Wyoming, and in particular, Cheyenne Leads, said, we still want to pursue this. And so they have made a tentative offer that I think is about $53.5 million. It's north of $50 million. We have memorized that offer in a memorandum of understanding. That memorandum of understanding is non-binding. It's in effect, I believe, until June 1st. It gives both parties time to do their due diligence. From the PRCA standpoint, we formed an ad hoc committee that identified potential site that we would potentially relocate to. Now, Cheyenne Lead still has to acquire that land. The landowner, by all reports, is certainly interested in doing what he can to accommodate bringing the PRCA to Cheyenne. So I don't think it's a big hurdle, but there is still acquisition of land. Additionally, we want to make sure that the money is there, that it's not an empty promise, that the money and the funding is in place. And so during this non-binding memorandum, it will give both sides opportunities to make sure that this is feasible and in the best interest of the PRCA and the state of Wyoming and city of Cheyenne.
Did you hear a counter from Colorado Springs or the state of Colorado?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We did. Unfortunately, it was not as concrete offer as we had hoped to be presented. It involved a potential increase to the LARC tax. That's the lodging and rental car tax. Would be put to the voters to increase that tax, and then with some money earmarked to renovate the Hall of Fame, $2 to $4 million.
So you get around $53 million worth of assets if you go to Wyoming. You said that you own the Hall of Fame and the current building. It's probably worth $10 million. You can sell that. What will you do with that money when you sell that?
Assuming all this goes through, my opinion is that when it's liquidated, that money should be put in an endowment to sustain the future of the Hall of Fame. That it would support the interest on that corpus would be a steady stream of annual income to support the Hall of Fame.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's hard to beat. That's hard to beat. You know, I've also read that, well, there's revisionary interest. Let's just clear up that rumor. There is no revisionary interest in the memorandum of understanding. To the contrary, it states that deed will be transferred to the PRCA upon substantial completion of the move. And we identified substantial completion of the move when 80% of the positions are relocated to Cheyenne.
Would it be okay with you guys if I asked a few just quick follow-up questions, like one-line answers or whatever is appropriate, but a lot of my
your
questions. Thank you. Okay, so a lot of my questions have been answered, but how the PRCA and the Hall of Fame are doing in Colorado Springs is a specific question to me. Where it's been since 1979, how is the hall and how is PRCA? How are they doing? I suppose financially would be the best question in the Colorado Springs.
So overall, we talk about the finances of the PRCA, and that's really made up of three corporations. PRCA is a 501c6 nonprofit. Hall of Fame is a 501c3 nonprofit corporations, and then PRCA Properties is a for-profit corporation. So when we talk collectively about PRCA, we're combining all three of those corporations. So let's talk specifically about the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame struggles financially. The PRCA and PRCA Properties financially prop up the Hall of Fame. Properties annually makes a $200,000 donation to the Hall of Fame to support their ongoing activities. The Hall of Fame this year is budgeted for about a $600,000 loss. The past few years, the Hall of Fame has had between a $300,000 to $400,000 loss. 2 years we were going to lose $400,000, and the Hall of Fame was a benefactor of a Ray Kenter's estate. He left his estate to the Hall of Fame to the tune of $450,000. That year we broke even. Last year, I think we wound up losing about $300,000. So when we talk, our overall finances are better than they ever have been. The PRCA and Properties is picking up and propping up the Hall of Fame.
Well, so that begs
Okay.
the,
And
go ahead, Kendra.
okay.
That begs the question then, what are the revenue sources of the Hall of Fame? Is it people that attend and buy tickets?
So we have attendance, admission. Admission is about 12,000 paid admission. We have the gift shop. We have event rentals. We do wedding venues. We do business meetings. We do other types of parties. And then we have some fundraisers. The big fundraiser is the Hall of Fame inductions with the auction, the golf tournament. That brings in roughly $250,000 in revenue. And then during Vegas, we have the gala where we recognize PRCA legends, and we also have a golf tournament, and that's $250,000 revenue. Those are the big sources.
So you get 12,000 people that go through there in Colorado. So real quick, Kendra, and then I'll shut up and let you go. Pretty much 6 months out of the year in Cheyenne, there ain't anybody driving through there. But there's a lot of people there during the Cheyenne Frontier Days. Do you expect your attendance to increase in Cheyenne or decrease?
Oh, I would expect it to quadruple, if not significantly higher. If you compare paid attendance to Cheyenne Frontier Days Old West Museum, they're double our attendance. Now, I would expect that we would do or should do at least double what their attendance is. And let's face it, part of our problem with our museum is it's gotten stale. It hasn't been updated. It's not what visitors are looking for in a modern experience. If you were there in the 80s, which is the first time I went to the Hall of Fame, it looks much like it did the first time I went in there. We've got the display cases. We've probably rotated out the exhibits in the display cases, but people want an interactive and immersive experience. And we don't have that.
I'll say I've worked for the PRCA twice in my career, and the first time was straight out of college. My first day was January 12th, 1987. And somewhat sadly, the ProRodeo Hall of Fame looks virtually the exact same as it did in 1987.
I think the same carpet's still there.
It is the same brown carpet.
Blue
So
chip.
and also I think for people who who aren't as old as I am, whatever you want to, however you want to put it, haven't been around as long. The Hall of Fame has been in trouble before. There was a time where, if I'm not, I know I'm not mistaken about this. For example, the PBR gave a donation to help keep the doors open. So there has been struggle along the way. This isn't a brand new issue that there's been, struggle as far as financially. I would like to ask for clarification on, you people are looking at you about this, but you're not in this alone. And I would like to know how, in all of this conversation and decision making, the PRCA Board of Directors and the ProRodeo Hall of Fame Board of Trustees factor in as you gauge these decisions together as a team, I'm assuming, but I don't know how that works.
Absolutely. The PRCA Board of Directors are really the decision makers. The Hall of Fame trustees also have a say in it. But the PRCA Board of Directors appoints the inside trustees to the Hall of Fame, and then those inside trustees appoint some outside trustees. But the majority of the Hall of Fame trustees are appointed directly by the PRCA board. So those two boards have to work in conjunction and are the ultimate decision makers.
Well,
so you guys will work. I mean, I think there is a misunderstanding from people that you're some sort of a dictator in this decision, but that's not the case, correct?
It's not my decision to make at all. As I started the interview, we're not looking to relocate. We're perfectly content to stay in Colorado. It is my obligation as the CEO to bring opportunities to the board, explore those opportunities, and if they have merit, then the board has to be the ultimate deciding
Okay.
entity. It is not my decision, and I'm glad you brought up, Kendra, because I don't even have a vote.
Wow. Okay. Is it too early to give us any sort of odds that this move is likely to happen, or is it too early?
You know, it's really in the due diligence period. I've heard very positive things for the most part. I would say 75-80% of the comments are positive. There are a number of comments that the Hall of Fame can't leave Colorado Springs. We can sit here and continue to suffer and bleed money, but the Hall of Fame does not have unlimited resources. The Hall of Fame is dependent on PRCA and properties to prop up its financials. So we've got to do something. We've not engaged the local community to support the Hall of Fame. And museums and Hall of Fames need local support. You have to have the community support. So let me give you an example. We're trying to figure out new revenue sources. So most nonprofits do a day of giving around Thanksgiving. So I told Teresa that we need to organize a day of giving for the Hall of Fame. Her and her team worked on it. I don't know how many thousands of emails they sent out. And you know how much money we raised through our day of giving? Somebody take a guess.
$150.
You win the under. $1,300. That's what
Well, and
we
to be clear, Teresa Cobb is currently, um, she she is in charge. Well, I don't know what her specific title is of the ProRodeo Hall of Fame.
But
who
who would want to be in charge of that bottom line? I mean, there's no the reason that the carpet's still brown is that it's been a fight just to keep the doors open, and we need to figure out new opportunities, it sounds like, to try to increase those revenue streams. And you can't invest in something that is being funded by the successful pieces of the property until you get it on its own feet. And I feel sorry for Teresa, who's trying to figure out how to balance that ledger. It sounds like a monumental task.
it is, and she's got a history with the PRCA and is ideally situated to preserve our history with the Hall of Fame. But hey, let's look at it. It's just not the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. The Olympic and Paralympic Museum here in Colorado Springs, which is state of the art, lost $2.5 million last year. You can look at their 990. They had 6.4 million in income, 8.9 million in expenses.
You know, this is actually unfair of me to bring this up, but I will, just in case either one of you remember anything about this. But because some of the old timers are asking, how is this different from years ago? There was the announcement that the PRCA was going to move to Albuquerque, and then that came to a screeching halt. And do you either remember the technicality that skidded that to a halt?
I don't, Kendra.
Okay.
Uh, I think it had a lot to do with the governor of New Mexico. The horse racing industry was flush with money in New Mexico at the time. But I also tried to learn from the mistakes that the PRCA made. And that is, they come in one day from the people that are still working for the PRCA, said, "We're moving to Albuquerque." No forewarning, no notice, no discussion. So we have tried to be transparent with our staff, um, with our sponsors, with our members, and let them know when Cheyenne Leeds was approaching us. When it comes to signing a non-binding memorandum, we wanted them to know that. It's not like this has been decided. It's moving forward. It's looking very lucrative, but the decision has yet to be made.
Okay. Well, I appreciate. Tommy Joe, do you have any other follow-ups before we switch gears?
Well, I just want to make sure you've got roots and history in Wyoming. So this isn't, does this have anything to do with oh, Uncle Billy or something, in your history, or was this an out of the blue approach from them?
So I'm glad you asked, Tommy Joe, so we can clear it up. Kendra will know this because I grew up with her significant other, Oak Berry in Nebraska. Both of us are from Western Nebraska. I spent 9 years of my career in Cheyenne, Wyoming, but this was brought to me, not something that we went searching for. Uh, I didn't even know who Betsy Hale was. I'd heard her name, but they sorted us out. They found us, and they pursued us. Has nothing to do with me. I've got a house in Colorado Springs that if we decide to stay in Colorado, we're very content here.
Oh,
Fair
perfect.
enough.
I think that's a fair a
Okay.
fair and well thought out conversation on that. Kendra, you want to jump to the next one?
Sure. A switch of a gear. I again, don't shoot the messenger. I would love to have a take a few minutes to discuss the status of PRCA Judging Program and any plans that are in place for that and its future. I feel like
Okay.
it's not a secret that the program has come under fire in recent times at the NFR again the other day
As
at Denver.
as as it should have.
I we're all human. We all make mistakes. But I think it's worthy of obviously you guys have to be, talking a lot about it at the headquarters. And one question that I would love to throw out there on behalf of a multiple time world champion that I just visited with on Sunday. And his frustration is, he said, I won, I think it was Denver years ago, and a relative of his was a clown there and made like 4 or 5 times much money being the clown as he winning an event. And he said, I want to know, are we going to allocate the money that it's going to take to bolster that program? Because all any of us wants is for the right people to win. So what's this, where does that stand as far as priorities and
Well,
plans?
let's just peel the skin back. We started out talking about 2025 being a great year. How great 2025 was really overshadowed by one controversial call. One controversial call at the NFR overshadowed all of the momentum that we created in 2025. And I called it a controversial call, Kendra, because I will always believe that the judge called the best call that he seen at the time he made that call. I will always believe that.
Yes, sir.
Now we have implemented review at the NFR on the markout. But the review standard is different from what the judge on the arena floor calls. The review standard is clear and obvious evidence. Now, it's a judgment call on the arena floor. The review official has about 8 seconds to find clear and obvious evidence to overturn that call, or that call stands. They've got limited time until the next contestant goes, so they've got to make a quick call. They've got, I think, 12 individual cameras that they have access to assist them in making that call. But if they don't see that clear and obvious call evidence, then the call stands. Now, I think the review officials overturned 9 of 48 calls. We all believe that they probably should have overturned a 10th call. But Rodeo has,
And sorry to interrupt you, but for those who we're talking through the tea leaves a little bit here, we are talking about the Stetson Wright
it's
missed
Stetson
amount.
Wright, 6th round in the bronc riding,
Sure.
marking his horse out, or a yellow flag being thrown for failure to mark the horse out. So that is the call that went round the world. And Rodeo has always been prefaced on the judge's decisions are final. The review judge didn't see that clear and obvious evidence in the allotted time, so the call stood. We don't have to agree with it, but it's not that unusual from other major sports. Every weekend, every NFL game, and I guarantee you on Sunday, there will be some controversial calls in the Super Bowl that we don't personally agree with. But the referee has that judgment, and the referee has been given that discretion to make that call. The difference between rodeo and the NFL, one play really doesn't determine the outcome of the game. We can argue till we're blind that we didn't think that was pass interference, but you know what? The team is probably going to get 42 more downs to try and win the game. In rodeo, you get one opportunity, and one bad call or one controversial call is the difference between winning and not winning. So I think that every official out there is trying to do their very, very best. Now,
Go ahead.
you're fine. We are going to make some changes. Coming out of COVID, we had 8 pro officials. We increased the number of pro officials to 12, reduced the number of rodeos they were judging. During COVID, we had limited rodeos. We were paying the pro officials, and we utilized them. So we had the same judges and the same contestants at very limited number of rodeos. We thought expanding the program would improve results. What we're going to do is go back to 8 full-time pro officials, and those 12 pro officials are who judges the NFR. But by going back to 8, we will be able to select 4 with input from event reps where we may need more expertise. Do we need to shore up the bareback riding judges? Do we need somebody that's maybe the best flagger in the dog? And so we'll have some options to bring in some other judges that can provide additional skill sets where we need them.
Okay. And as far as having money ear tagged for it, one of the things that was confirmed on this podcast, I don't know, a few months ago, was that sometimes college rodeo judges are making more than PRCA judges. And so will it be a priority financially? Is that, I guess, as straightforward?
We budgeted probably another $500,000 for the judging program. We revamped the pay scale entirely. Our old pay scale involved judges being rated A, B, C, or D judges, and based whether they were an A, B, C, or D judge, and then how many performances a rodeo was, determined what they got paid per performance. So if you had a judge and a B judge and a pro official judging the rodeo, they were all getting paid a different amount. Under our new system, and that system of payment hadn't changed for, as near as I know, 17 years, going back to Tommy Keith, or had it even increased. So what we did was we decided we'll just assign judges based on their ability, and we broke rodeos into 4 categories: 5,000 and under, 5 to 10,000, 10 to 20,000, and 20,000 and above. Added money per event. So judges will be compensated based on how big the rodeo is, how much added money there is. The judges will make the same. And whether it's a 2-perf rodeo that adds 30,000 like San Juan Capistrano used to be, or if it's a rodeo that adds 4,500, judges will be assigned based on who applies and based on best available judge. Now, we estimate this puts about $500,000 into the judging program with a base raise for our pro officials.
Okay. So I hope you have your seatbelt on, and I don't want to fog up your glasses here, but I'm going to be a critic. You pass on those judges' fees to the rodeo committees. Is that correct?
Not entirely. So
Okay.
each committee pays a set amount for judges, Tommy. So a few years ago to now, I believe that was increased from $225 per performance to $300 per performance that the committee pays for a judge.
And they get compensated more than that.
Yes, they do.
Okay. So, a couple things. First, I'm going to
And I'll
say,
run through that compensation with you if you want.
no, I don't. I'm just asking. These are higher level topics. For one, for the life of me, I don't know why you would have replay and restrict the replay officials. I guarantee you they don't too much in the NFL to have an 8 seconds to see if the call's right. Because for me, the judges, in the first year you did replay, the judges were afraid to throw the flag. I think this year, which is the way I think it's supposed to be, that the field judge should throw the flag and rely on the fact that he has replay to verify that he was right. Like, don't hold the flag and miss a mark out, not throw a mark out flag on a missed mark out. Throw the flag because you can lean on your replay officials. But if you only give those guys 8 seconds to figure out if
Now
it's right,
let's back up. We probably disagree on that philosophy, Tommy Joe. We do not want our judges judging from the review booth. We want our judges to call what they see. If you see somebody miss a horse out, throw a flag. If you don't see them miss a horse out, don't throw a flag.
well,
You
I agree
can't
with
you
that.
can't
I agree with that. But
you
at the
can't
same
throw a
time,
flag and then say we're just going to pass it upstairs to a review official because the standard is completely different. You know, the standard when you get to the review is clear and obvious. And as we've seen with Stetson, the review official didn't think he had that clear and obvious evidence.
well, it was
So
pretty darn
we've got
clear
to
and
make the.
obvious to everybody else out there looking at it.
But how long did they have to look at it?
That's my point.
And so we have to make the right call on the field.
I agree with that. I think that they should be empowered. I agree. They need to make the call that they feel on the field. But there has been times in the past where maybe that call wasn't made because it's better to take the safe route than the real route. But let's put all that aside. The next thing that I'm going to say is if you guys your gross revenues are 57 million, and it seems to be the whole premise of the PRCA, correct me if I'm wrong, is to crown champions, right? I mean, it's to involve membership, but at the end of the day, it's to, and
Crown
you could
world
disagree,
champions.
it's crown world champions, and that's got to be right. And it seems to me that nothing is more important than making sure that you have pro officials, like not forcing a bareback rider to flag because he's a C-level judge and that's the budget for that event. I'm just saying it seems to me that that would be a priority if I were on the board in socking money into that system to make sure that we have it the very best we can and be financially responsible at the same time. Is that
I
fair?
mean, I don't think we're that far off. I don't think that we want to pay more money for the same outcomes
Agreed.
and understand that any sport from little league soccer all the way to Major League Baseball and NFL football will have some controversial calls. It's just
Absolutely.
part of the sport because we're asking people to make judgment calls. And then let's get to the point, irregardless of how much money we pay and we're putting more money into it, why would anyone put themselves in the position to get humiliated because they called what they thought they seen? We don't have people, we got a lot of armchair quarterbacks that judge from the Cowboy Channel. We're not just flush with people coming forth wanting to judge rodeos.
Well, I can understand that because they get paid about a sixth what the announcer gets paid.
Well, another thing I think that a world champion cowboy made the comment recently. There have always been missed calls in rodeo. It's just that now everybody sees it live on the Cowboy Channel, and so there are armies of couch cowboys but another thing that I think when we're talking about money and efficiencies, I can't even guess at how much it must cost, for example, to have the angles that Houston has for the telecast. No one can spit without us seeing 6 angles on that. And I don't know what that would cost, but surely it is so state of the art, and it had to have cost a fortune, I realize. But I don't know what it would take.
Look who that building was built with, though, Kendra.
Right.
That's where the Houston Texans play. And so that is Major League, NFL, state of the art investment.
Yes. And but I mean, while we're just saying, some of the perhaps there are financial considerations to everything, so
okay,
there's no telling.
But so how do you take that state of the art design and investment to an outdoor arena such as North Platte, Nebraska?
Right.
Well, you spend a fortune, but the thing about it, let me clarify something. I do not think, Tom, that there's anybody in the PRCA or any judge or anybody in the replay booth that ever wants to make a bad call. Like
we agree
100% agree. However, there's that old term: you got to put the right people on the bus, but you got to put them in the right seat. And I think we have to take a very close look at people thinking they're making the right call, but they've never done it. They don't actually know how it works other than the seminars and stuff. And I think that could be a root of some of the problem in my personal opinion. Now, how do you fix that? You got to stick money into it, and you got to have enough officials there that are good enough to make the right calls for the right disciplines. Not saying that's easy, but
well, and also in fairness, I think, and then we'll, we can move along to the next topic of conversation, but unless you have competed at the very highest level in an event, it's not fair to ask you to see it in real time in slow motion like someone who's done it 100,000 times. And we all understand that you can't have the highest level bull rider at every rodeo to judge only the bull riding. So what we're asking is really, it's almost an impossible ask to ask one human being to see things. I don't care if it's a crossfire. I don't care if it's a hung leg in the bulldogging or whatever it is. But if you've never done that, to ask someone to do that, we're not going to fix that.
It's difficult. It's
in real
a
time, it's
difficult
fast.
task.
Yes.
And it happens in real time.
Yes. So why don't we move along?
The answer is we are trying to put more money into it. We're trying to improve those outcomes. Will it happen overnight? No. We're trying to improve the outcomes with the same pool of judges. It's not like we have an influx of new high-level talent coming in. So we have to do better at training them. We have to probably have them shadow more. But, also look at Major League Baseball. If you read the statistics, 74% of the pitches are miscalled. 13% of the strikes are actually balls. 13% of the balls that are called are actually strikes. That's 74%. We are really focusing on some very monumental calls that were unfortunate and really put the program under scrutiny. Nobody likes it, but when we're asking people to make human judgment calls, we are going to have to say there is a margin of error. What is acceptable margin of error? We would like that to be very close to 100%.
Well, let's roll on. My final comment on that is your pool of judges will increase if there's a monetary if it becomes monetarily in their best interest to become a judge. And I don't think that's always been the case. And I'll leave it at that. Let's go real quick because we're way longer than I promised you we would be, but we've got a couple more questions.
We're starting to get snow here.
Hey, it's getting cold. Hey, quick question. So, your salary and what you get paid has come up, and people are throwing that around. Can I ask you? I think part of your salary is reported. Can I ask you what and there's a reason for this, what your salary might be or what you can share with me, because I've done some research on people in your position, and I want to talk about that. So can you share with me what your current salary is, or isn't there some of it that's published? Is that correct?
My salary's public. We can certainly talk about it. It's covered in the 990. So, but let's clear up some information that's out there. My salary is paid by PRCA Properties, so it's reported as a related entity on the Hall of Fame salary. So there's rumors going around that I'm paid $500,000 from the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame pays $0. All of my salary comes from the PRCA Properties, and my salary is a base salary in the mid 400s with potential for bonuses based on performance.
Okay, that's good news.
And that comes out somewhere in the mid 500.
Well, so if you take what I've shown, which our viewers should listen to this, if you take major multimedia companies like Disney and Netflix, that pay structure for a CEO is a little bit different. But these guys are making $30 million because the companies are it's based on gross profit, so around 40 million. But when you look at the sport of rodeo, and the closest thing you can liken it to would be an event business or a music industry CEO, and really there's a significant difference in revenues there. But let's take that. And so if we take the PRCA gross revenues, like those particular CEOs typically make 1 to 2% of either the gross revenues or a different percentage of the EBITDA, meaning the net profits. All I'm going to say is based on 57 million, if you used 47 million, which is what I found in 2024 or 2023, what I found was a $47 million in revenues. You do the math, it's $470,000. And my point is to all of you people out there, your salary is in line with what the industry standards pay. And I'm sorry if you at home don't make that much money, but it's because you can't. and you're not out of line in my personal narrative with what you should be making. And again, if the PRCA is reading its goals and has the ability, doesn't the board of directors have the ability to fire you if you're not delivering?
Absolutely. I work at the pleasure of the board of directors, but let's back up. These decisions are not made in a vacuum. We do a salary compensation study. It's just not my salary, it's every salary at the PRCA. We want to make sure that we're compensating our people fairly. And the PRCA board of directors sets my salary. They just don't pick a number out of the air. They also have a compensation study done. There's a lot of governing body associations here in Colorado Springs, and you are correct in your research. Most CEOs make 1 to 2%. On the smaller side, it's 2%. When you get to the NFL, Major League Baseball type of revenue, then you're getting down to 1%. But on our revenue level, most of it's 2%. So arguably, you could say I'm underpaid.
May I ask
My
one
salary,
one clarification?
my
Sorry.
salary's about 1% of our gross revenue. So it's certainly in line with industry standards. Yes, Kendra.
To just clarify one thing, that it's salary plus performance incentive. Is that like, for example, sponsorships or something? Yeah, is that what the incentives would
That's
be based on? Or
that's one metric. We have a
okay,
balanced scorecard that probably has 50 different metrics on it.
okay.
That we are
Well,
looking to hit targets in learning and growth, internal processes, uh, customer membership satisfaction, and then there's always a financial component to it.
well, if you go on 2% and 57 million, that would be that you have the potential availability of making a 1.1 million, and you clearly stated in the past that in the earlier conversation you have it. So my point is, I don't care what you get paid as long as you're delivering for the membership, and the sport is increasing. I think you should get a lot of money for being the guy that has to get on these calls and answer all of these questions and be the point person for a very controversial membership based organization. So I think all of it is, in my personal narrative, a bunch of baloney. And we've just accurately depicted the fact that based on industry standards, you're not overpaid, you're probably underpaid. So,
Well, we
Kendra, any
almost
follow
had a
up?
million. We almost had $1 million a year cowboy this year in Stetson Wright, and we probably will have $1 million a year cowboy this year. And when we start seeing guys making 500 grand a year as professional rodeo cowboys in a single event, I think that makes everybody pretty happy.
I mean, Riley Webb won $555,000 to win the world in the tie down roping. We had 5 cowboys win over 500,000. Stetson uh, in the bull riding. I think we had 3 bull riders win over 500,000, and then Rocker was over 500,000. And Wasey Shallow, if you look at between the bareback riding and the bull riding, I think he won 750,000, 747. Significant. So, every indicator is that we're moving in a good direction.
Well, that's what you always say. That's what you say in the State of the Union. But it does look like we are moving in the right direction. So we're running long. So I'm going to jump into another one that I hope doesn't make your glasses fog up. So I asked you if you had a brother-in-law in Wyoming, and that's why you're moving to Wyoming. I want to give you the opportunity to address this. There's been conversation that it's no, and you can tell me I'm wrong here, but the PRCA recognized that it has that it is lacking in the IT portion of its business. It's way, 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 way behind, or has been, and it made an investment in the IT portion of its business, which was long, long, long needed. It doesn't look like that investment, at least from the outside, has panned out. It doesn't sound like the secretary's program works. It doesn't sound like trades work. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a cowboy, but it doesn't sound like the investments worked out. And now there's scuttlebutt that this was directly tied to a relationship of yours in the past, and that's contractor versus employee. So my question is, what can you tell us about not only all of this scuttlebutt about maybe misuse or misdirected money, and why isn't it better, and is it going to get better? That's a big question.
Well, let's start out. Ironically, my brother-in-law lives in Texas, so
I just used that line. Right?
He lives in Fredericksburg, so we can squash those rumors. Our IT department has underperformed for many years. I think it's underperformed many years prior to my involvement with the PRCA. We're certainly still on the AS 400. Jeff Love is our current CTO, and even though we've got a long ways to go, excuse me so much, I'm sorry for that. Jeff has made more strides towards bringing us into the modern era than anyone ever has. So let's talk about Jeff as a person. I didn't know who Jeff Love was. In my prior role, I knew we used Cyber Lancers. Jeff previously owned Cyber Lancers. We had hired a CTO after Dan Martinez, Gordon Knopp, who suffered some health issues and had to resign. So when we were looking for another CTO, Jeff's name come up, his partner, Kevin Parker's name come up. I interviewed both of them. They were both well qualified and for many years had been providing contract services to the PRCA. So when I selected Jeff as our CTO, our employment agreement and my conversation with Jeff was, you have to divest yourself entirely from Cyber Lancers. And he did. And we followed that up that you cannot hire Cyber Lancers without a competitive bidding process. We are here to be good stewards of the PRCA's money. And even though there's rumors and innuendos that Jeff made a lot of money with Cyber Lancers, he did do a lot of work as an independent contractor. He's not allowed to hire the predecessor of Cyber Lancers without a competitive bid. We're here to take good care of the PRCA's money. Jeff is doing remarkable work, and even though you don't think you've seen the results yet, forever I've heard that we're getting off V2, we're getting into the V3 secretary system. Jeff has finally made that a reality. Improvements to our online entry system are markedly improved. Just this week, Rodeo Approvals was moved out of the AS 400 to a new platform. Quickly, they will follow that up with Stock Stats. And the final two to really free us from the constraints of the AS 400 will be membership and Procom. So I do think that we are making strides in our IT department.
So there's no truth in you guys have to scrap everything you've done and start over. You've wasted millions. That's not true.
In terms of scrapping everything, absolutely not. In terms of transferring to a modern platform, yes, but here's how the PRCA IT system worked for many, many moons. It was just add on, add on, add on, and it was all hard coded. So once you have 20 years of add on coding to a hard coded system, when you change something over here on if then Y,
Yep.
that changes X in 3 other programs. So we have built new systems. We have taken some canned systems. Kendra will remember that we were dependent on JD Edwards for years and years as our financial software system. We successfully moved that to Acumatica. That's all part of our IT transition is a whole office reform.
Kendra, any follow up?
I I have a different. It all ends up coming back to money, but I feel like I have a question that really was sort of a follow up to the financial, which we're all over talking about different sectors, but it's all financially related. So this is going to seem a bit random to drop this in here, but I don't want to leave this conversation without asking the current status of the contract with the Cowboy Channel. And I don't know if you're at liberty to say what it's worth or how many years are left on it. But I think the number one question out in the world is, does any of the money make it down to the members? I don't know.
Absolutely. You never seen a cinch playoffs before we had a Cowboy Channel. That'll be a $1.5 million playoff series. So that's where we're talking about that we are. One of our metrics we judge ourselves by is how much sponsorship media money does get pushed back out to members. Now, how do we do that? We don't just pay members. We generally give money to committees for those media rights, who in return puts that into their added money, and then the payout is enhanced for those who win. So that's why we're seeing Rodeo added money continue to grow. Is there's a lot of competition between committees to be on that playoff series Rodeo list, because that's where the media money gets spent. There's 3 years left on that contract, Kendra.
Okay.
I'm assuming that within 2 years out, you have to start having conversations about the broadcast rights and where they're going to live and if the Cowboy Channel is going to go on. That's my assumption.
Yeah, it's about
2 years is not a long time.
There's an exclusive negotiating window in the agreement, and it's about 18 months out.
Gotcha.
Is what the contract's worth? Is that a private or a public number?
It's probably not anything I'm going to share
Okay.
publicly. It's a confidential number that
Okay.
would, and it's not that we don't want to share it, but it also gives competitors of Teton Ridge knowledge of what it is, rather than being an open negotiation.
That makes sense. Well,
And the terms of that contract are confidential.
well, it's no secret the Cowboy Channel doesn't exist without PRCA content in the NFR, so they better figure it out. So,
and
okay.
it's been great for PRCA. It's been great for Rodeo, and it's really why we've seen, one of the big reasons we've seen Rodeo growing at the trajectory we have is the TV contract has been a game changer. Thank you, Teton Ridge. thank you, Patrick Gotch, for having a vision of what that could be.
Well, what you guys have negotiated with Teton Ridge and Las Vegas is exactly why that we're seeing the growth. And congratulations to you and for both of those partners for investing in the sport. Absolutely agree with that. Kendra, final one. It's getting dark and Tom needs a burger.
I just have a final comment that you taking the time and your transparency is very much appreciated, Tom. So I want to say thank you for that. Nothing here was, we were given nothing was told to us to be off, out of bounds. And I really appreciate you being willing to field the questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate your forum and look forward to visiting with you again.
Well, this has been an action-packed one. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Kendra. We hope that the viewers that have listened to this have learned something. If you have to, listen to it again. There was a lot of very interesting things spoken and a lot of facts put out there and clarification. We all want what's best for all of us, the committees, the contract personnel, and importantly, the Cowboys that are the players in this game. Congratulations, Tom. Thank you on my part for coming on and not giving us a list of stuff we couldn't talk about. By the way, viewers, none of that happened. None of that happened. It was an open forum, and much respect for you for doing that. Final thought, Kendra or Tom, otherwise we'll put a button on this bow for number 97.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You guys too. Thank you.
Well, God bless all of you. We'll see you at episode 98. Tom, go get a burger. We'll catch you guys later around the deal. Thanks for joining us. This has been No Spin Rodeo, episode 97. Y'all have a blessed day.